YouTube, today I'm going to give you advice on how to fly your ass to White Party Bangkok. If you're thinking about going to White Party Bangkok but haven't made up your mind yet, or you want to go but you haven't purchased your tickets, go watch my last video where I talk all about White Party Bangkok and I go into details about the various party tickets still available. I'm going to link to that video in the top corner and also in the description below. If you want to go to White Party Bangkok but don't have tickets yet, go do that right now, but some tickets are already starting to sell up. But in this video, we're going to talk all about flights, how you're going to fly into and out of Bangkok. So this isn't going to be typical party advice per se, but White Party Bangkok actually draws a pretty international crowd. And for those of you who don't travel internationally very much, you might not be a frequent flyer, or for those who haven't been to Asia or been to Bangkok before, here are some tips and tricks. First of all, let's talk about which airports you're going to be flying into in the Bangkok area. Most of you will be flying to the main Bangkok airport, which is called the Suvarnabhumi Airport, and it has the 3-letter code BKK. There's also the Don Mueang Airport, also in the Bangkok area, and it's got the 3-letter code DMK. That tends to serve some of the more local, low-cost Asian airlines. So for most of you, especially those that are coming in internationally, most likely you're going to be going into the BKK airport. Now that you know the airport you're going to be flying into, let's talk about the time zone difference. Specifically, you need to be aware of the time zone difference between where you're flying from and Bangkok. So take me as an example, I'm in Los Angeles, and when I fly from LA to Bangkok, that's a 14-hour difference into the future. I effectively lose 14 hours. In terms of when the plane takes off and lands, if I leave LA on a Monday, I'll probably arrive in Bangkok Wednesday local time. And then when I fly back from Bangkok to Los Angeles, the same thing happens but in reverse. So my flight out of Bangkok is on Monday, and then when I come back to LA, when the plane lands, like however many hours later that I've been in the air, it lands back on a Monday local time in LA. So those 14 hours that I lost flying from LA to Bangkok, I kind of gain it back on the return flight. So if you're a frequent flyer that travels internationally to different countries a lot, this will be something you're used to and it's not news to you, but I suspect a lot of you watching this video probably don't fly internationally and overseas that much. So the main takeaway here is pay really close attention to the arrival times of the flights you're looking at. On the topic of time changes, let's talk about what specific dates I recommend you fly into and out of Bangkok. So for going into Bangkok, I recommend you arrive no later than Wednesday, December the 28th. That will give you at least about a day or so to shake off the jet lag, get adjusted to like the local time zone, rest for a little bit because it's always hard to like sleep on a plane. Now, if you want to do some sightseeing in Bangkok, you've never been there before, you want to go hit up some places in town, I recommend you doing that before the party start up when you have a little more energy. So you can always arrive earlier than that as well. Now, for when you fly out, obviously, if you've got like job or school, whatever back at home to be back in time for, you're gonna have to take that into consideration. Other than that, I would recommend flying out 2 days after the last party that you want to go to. So as an example, if the last party you want to go to is the Sunday night White Party main event of White Party Bangkok, that's on January 1st, you probably want to look for flights departing on Tuesday, January the 3rd. That means you have all of Monday, January the 2nd to like sleep in, rest, eat, pack, and not be in a rush to do that before your flight takes off the next day on Tuesday. Now, if you need to get home a little bit earlier than that, you're in a little bit of a hurry to have to get back home, what you could do is look for a flight that is the day after the last party you want to go to, but it's at least an evening flight. So using that same example, if you're going to go to the White Party main event on Sunday night, January the 1st, and you really need to leave on a flight home the next day on Monday, January the 2nd, make sure you don't book a morning flight so that you don't have to go from like the party to the airport. Look for like a late afternoon or an evening flight out. That way you still get to go to the party and you can go home and sleep and then still have some time to pack, eat something before you go to the airport on Monday night. So having given all that great advice about timing your flights and what days to fly in and fly out, my stupid ass booked my flights home on the wrong day. I just like spaced and messed up the flights. I'm gonna be flying out 9:30 a.m. in the morning on Monday, but I am gonna go with my friends to the party that's on Sunday night, so I am gonna have to kind of sort of go from the party to the airport. If you find yourself in that situation as well, it is possible to go from the party to the airport. Me and my friends have done it occasionally. It's not something I try to do because it's quite tiring, but it is possible. Alright, by now you know what airport you're gonna be flying into, you're aware of the time zone difference when you fly across time zones, and you are also picked your dates that you want to fly into and out of for Bangkok. Now it's actually time to start looking for flights. Again, if you're a frequent flyer, used to booking flights, you probably have some sort of system for doing this anyways. So I'm gonna tune this part a little bit more for those who don't fly very much and needs a little extra help looking for flights. What I would recommend is using some sort of travel search engine like Google Flights or Expedia, or whichever one you like. I personally like using Google Flights, but it's a very easy interface. I can just plug in where I'm going from and to, the dates that I want, and it shows me all the options, and it's very easy for me to use the different filters and filter out the flights that I want. If you got different airports that you can fly from, sometimes it makes sense to plug in multiple airports in the origin field. You can actually do that in Google Flights, and it'll show you all the different options as well. If you have some flexibility on when you're flying in and out, sometimes it's helpful to change the dates by like a day or two, and there's also like a fare calendar type function that shows you if, hey, it might be cheaper, you might save yourself a few $100s if you left a day earlier or you departed a day earlier, something like that. Another tip I'm gonna give you is if you're likely to have to check a piece of luggage, and most people tend to when they travel internationally, you might want to look for a fare that includes a piece of checked luggage for free, so you don't have to pay extra for it. Or you might be part of a frequent flyer program that gives you some perks like free checked luggage, or you might have a travel credit card that gives you that same perk as well. Speaking of frequent flyer programs, you are part of a frequent flyer program with one of the airlines. It might make sense to go with that airline for your flights to Bangkok, assuming they're not like ridiculously more expensive than some other airline. If the airline you're frequent flyers with don't have flights that they operate to Bangkok, they likely have partner or alliance airlines that do operate those flights to Bangkok, where you can still take advantage of your frequent flyer program to earn miles and maybe have some extra perks as well. Now, if you are not in a frequent flyer program because you don't fly very much, I would actually recommend, whatever airline you end up going with for your flights to Bangkok, think about signing up for that airline's frequent flyer program, because the sign up will be for free, and because it's a roughly long flight to Bangkok for most of you, becoming internationally, you're gonna be pocketing a whole ton of miles just by taking that flight. There's not really any risk, because if you don't use the miles, there's no penalty, it doesn't matter. But just in case you might find yourself traveling in the future, all these miles that you're gonna get anyways for free from this flight to Bangkok, you might find those miles useful in the future. Now, beyond using hard-earned cash to pay for your flight to Bangkok, you can also see if you've got a frequent flyer account or a credit card somewhere where you've been accruing miles or points, see if you have enough of those to actually book an award flight for your flight to Bangkok. Alright YouTube, hopefully now you have enough info to book your flights to White Party Bangkok. In the next video, coming out later this week, I'm going to talk all about hotels and accommodations. I'm actually going to have a bunch of tips, and I'm going to have a ton of recommended hotels, a lot of which that I've stayed at or been to recommend to you guys. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to know when that video comes out. In addition to that video as well, between now and White Party Bangkok over the coming weeks, I'm gonna have even more advice videos all about White Party Bangkok. So until next time, bye YouTube.